But one of the most prominent ways in which, which sexuality features in my literary work is in my first novel, Jet Set Desolate. See, oh my god, I wrote a book. Only one. Well, there were two. On a small presses in Europe, which folded immediately afterwards and I never saw it on. But no regrets. I'm very happy it happened. This is available on Amazon if you want it, and you do. It's a fast-paced, glamorous Studio 54 the Millennia trip on a downwards. If you dig that sort of thing, it's a good preventative don't do drugs, kids. And in this book, there is, of course, a very elaborate plot, some of which relates to sexually transmitted diseases and AIDS, and a plot related, and there's also a lot of very intense, graphic, and gnarly sex scenes, which I put it on purpose. My first drafts of the novel that I wrote in San Francisco before I went to graduate school didn't include them. It was always the fade out, though they did include all the graphic drugs and violence. But when I was at CalArts, my mentor, who I always listened to, he really had some great things to say, suggested, he said, there's so much, this book is actually about sex. Why don't you just put the sex in? And as I had the experience from the pornography writing, I was like, well, if that's what people want, you've got to do what your audience wants. I get that. And I don't even know if I have an audience, but oh well, fun and obscurity, here we go. So I figured it would be fun to just read the beginning of this novel, just to kind of give you a taste of it, kind of like an advertisement, I suppose. It came out 10 years ago. Yes, I know, I'm the Liza Minelli of the literary world. So it came out 10 years ago, but it's kind of like a period piece about the millennium now, in an interesting way, and the electric flash culture that existed in San Francisco before Silicon Valley totally ruined it. Like, I lived in San Francisco at about the last time you could live there as an artist, with a normal job, like a receptionist job or no job. So, okay, there we go. 2014. On a July night, with the fan whining, I heard Spanish opera through the window. San Francisco's Tenderloin district sprawled outside my apartment building, full of crackheads and residence hotels, massage parlors, and liquor stores that greeted the dawn with the line outside. A bowl with 3 floating gardenias sat next to the wine, the bottle empty, the flowers delicious. There was something about this flower that always struck me, the wax and abundance of the white petals, the deep verdant leaves, the boutonniere cut like a full stop at the end of a sentence. But for me, there was only the sodden mattress alleys of the Tenderloin, the only neighborhood where I could afford to live alone. Emotional distance was needed to survive here. I had lived in San Francisco for 4 years, and after stepping over shit and bum tents walking to work, living in neighborhoods that reeked of piss and Colt 45, I knew, hard as it was, I had to just walk on by. Following the dot-com bubble of 2000, when investor capitalists threw millions into internet startups, and we saw how that went, people were flooding into San Francisco for high-paying jobs, and a part in the next big thing, the internet. Woohoo! The suits wanted to be the future. I just wanted a job with health insurance, okay, so I could get my teeth fixed or other things. So before I moved there, I perused Craigslist in the Reed College Computer Lab in 1999, searching for a place to move. I saw people offering up their linen closets for $900 a month if you weren't home very much. After 6 whole months of searching Craigslist, I was finally able to move into a loft with 2 other girls, as long as the landlord, a recently divorced 50-year-old man who had handpicked us all very carefully and asked for pictures, was allowed for ways of entry at all times. He liked to come over at night. So we left pretty quick, as you can see. As I wended my way through the rental sphere, I found that it took an entry-level office job, good credit, and the hand of God to rent a room in even a bad neighborhood. Only the old money wealthy lived in places where there weren't bars on the windows and used condoms clogging the gutters. San Francisco, a city of 7 by 7 miles, was an incredibly desirable place to live at a time when the economy was exploding, with dreams of future profits. This meant that for those of us on the edges, trying, the young Mary Tyler Moore's, Neely O'Hara's, trying to get a niche in and live the life we'd always heard of, well, sacrifices had to be made. I lived in the Mission. We paid $775 each for an ants-infested basement where I was terrified to go outside at night. Then I moved to a nicer place in the Beauce Triangle with 2 lesbian separatists. My fondness for cock made that a problem, and I was kicked out. Enjoying meat, dairy, alcohol, drugs, straight sex, gay sex, I found my hedonistic nature created a problem in my search for a home. Sometimes you just want to eat a steak, drink a vodka tonic, and get fucked. In many parts of the country, that's pretty much Friday night. However, in this increasingly complex ideological paradise, where everyone could do and be and profess their own beliefs and impose them upon their housemates, I realized I better get my name on a lease if I wanted any sort of security. So finally I did, when I was working at the DeVecchio and Associates accounting firm. Put on my best dress shirt, took the bus to the Tenderloin, and signed away $850 a month plus a $1,600 deposit for my own studio, where no one could make me a transient. It had been long enough. But it was lonely. It was my first time living alone. The drag queens and daguerreotypes stared down from above my bed with no answers on their gray teeth. Bars and clubs were the entirety of my social life. I didn't know anyone who deigned to spend time in daylight. It just wasn't an option. I worked in a very conservative industry, finance, with people I had little in common with. No lunch dates there. My city starter boyfriend and I broke up the month I signed the lease to live alone. I was too seduced by other faces, other options. The people we'd been having Easter brunches and absinthe parties with turned out to be his friends. So I started going out. Despite the strain of late nights and long hours at the office, the thrill, I still remember it even now, of meeting new and beautiful people was seductive. The lure of possibility and chance, that feeling when I got into a cab and went careening off into the night, all of that kept me involved. Okay, I'm going to stop there, because then it will start being into live action plot of going out to a nightclub. And so, hey, buy my book, read my book, enjoy my book. If you jack off to my book, that is totally okay. You have my blessing. Have fun. Thank you.